Follow the original plot or I will terminate you. I stared at the quarterly earnings report on my screen and didn't flinch. The numbers were clean, profits up 14%. My acquisition of the Midwest logistics chain had paid off faster than anyone predicted. I had built this company from nothing, no family money, no trust fund, no husband's connections. Just 18 years of grinding while other women my age were planning weddings and baby showers. And now some piece of software in my skull thought it could tell me how to live my life. You want me to chase a man who doesn't want me? I said quietly, not looking up from my desk. That's your grand plan? You're the villainess. It's in the script. You're supposed to be obsessed with Vincent Carter. You're supposed to make Caroline Bennett's life miserable. I finally set down my pen. The office was quiet, floor-to-ceiling windows showing the Chicago skyline, the kind of view that costs more per square foot than most people made in a year. I'd earned this. Every glass panel, every leather-bound report, every employee who called me Miss Carter with genuine respect. And now I was supposed to throw it all away for some mediocre man who couldn't even tell his girlfriend the truth. Let me make this simple for you, I said, leaning back in my chair. Your goal is to stop Vincent and Caroline from having a happy relationship. That's all you actually care about, right? You don't need me to follow every boring scene in your little book. You just need the outcome. The system buzzed with static, like it was processing. Technically, yes, but then let me handle it my way. I pulled up the HR portal on my computer. We just finished the quarterly hiring round. Hundreds of applications for a dozen positions. I personally rejected most of them because I had standards. But I remembered one name, Vincent Carter. His resume was decent, not exceptional, but his cover letter had the right kind of desperation. I clicked the offer extended button and scheduled his start date for Monday. What are you doing? The system sounded suspicious. You'll see. Vincent Carter started on a Monday. By Thursday, he'd already logged 52 hours. I made sure of it. His manager had specific instructions. Keep him busy. Don't give him time to breathe. If he finishes one project, hand him another. If he asks about overtime pay, remind him he's on probation. It wasn't personal. It was strategy. The system had been pacing in my head for days, spitting warnings and threats, telling me I was ruining everything and I ignored it. I had my own metrics. The quarterly reports were still pristine, and I had a board meeting coming up that I refused to screw up for some fictional love story. Friday evening, 6:45 p.m. I pulled up the security feed on my second monitor. The entire floor was empty except one cubicle. Vincent was still there, hunched over his keyboard, sleeves rolled up, tie loosened. He looked exhausted good. His phone lit up on the desk. He glanced at it, then kept typing. It lit up again, and again. Finally, he grabbed it and hit speaker. I'm working, he said flatly. What do you want? Vincent. The cat threw up on the couch. I don't know what to do. A woman's voice, high and anxious. Caroline Bennett. Take it to the vet. There's one on the corner. I can't drive. You took the car. Then call an Uber. Vincent. I'm in the middle of something. I'll call you when I'm done. Done? You said you'd be home 2 hours ago. You keep saying that. Every night this week. The system materialized in my peripheral vision, a flickering subroutine that only I could see. She's suspicious. This is good. I said nothing. Look, I know you're stressed, Vincent said, his voice tight. But you're not the only one having a hard week. I haven't slept in 3 days. So it's my fault. I didn't say that. You're always like this. Defensive. Evasive. What's really going on there? Nothing's going on. You're imagining things. Prove it. Video call me right now. Vincent's jaw tightened. Phoenix. He didn't call her. He stood up abruptly, pushed his chair back, and walked to the window. For a long moment, he just stared out at the skyline, his reflection ghostly in the glass. Then he came back to his desk, opened his camera app, and took a video of the empty office floor. See? Satisfied. Maybe you cleaned up before he called. I know how you work. You know what? Vincent's voice cracked. I'm done. I'm so done with this. I work all day so I can what? Wait for you like a good little girlfriend while you. Stop. Just stop. He hung up. I watched him stand there, chest heaving, phone still in his hand. He didn't call her back. He didn't text. He just sat down and stared at his screen, not typing, not reading, just staring. The system was quiet for a long moment. Then, okay, that actually worked. It's called overwork. Tends to kill relationships faster than any scheming ever could. But it was luck. You couldn't have predicted she'd call tonight. I smiled slightly. No, but I could predict that HR would reach out to her yesterday about Vincent's next of kin contact form. I could predict that someone as insecure as Caroline would search for his company online. And I could predict that she'd find the Glassdoor reviews, the one saying our culture is so good, nobody ever stays late. The system didn't respond. I don't rely on luck, I said. I rely on data. Saturday morning. I got to the office at 7 a.m. There was an envelope on my desk, marked urgent from HR, Vincent Carter's emergency contact form. Caroline's name and number were listed. I filed it in the bottom drawer. Useless to me now. The system appeared again, this time with a progress bar floating in the corner of my vision. It had a number on it, 27%. Your villainy score is still too low, it announced. You're causing conflict, yes, but nobody thinks you're actually evil. Readers are supposed to hate you. That's the whole point. Readers? People reading the original story. They're supposed to despise you. Right now, they just think you're efficient. I raised an eyebrow, and that's bad. If they don't perceive you as a threat, the story doesn't work. You need to actually hurt someone. Emotionally. Publicly. I thought about it for a moment. So, I need to do something dramatic enough that everyone, including Caroline, believes I'm trying to steal Vincent away from her. Yes, exactly. Simple. I picked up the phone. Marjorie, it's Evelyn. Can you bring me the guest parking logs from last night and find out which of the executive assistants came in early today? I need to make sure Caroline Bennett gets through to my floor. Monday morning, 8:30. I came out of my conference room to find Caroline Bennett in the hallway. She was young, mid-20s probably, dressed in a sundress that looked expensive but wasn't. Her eyes were red-rimmed, her face puffy. She'd been crying. And she was standing in front of my executive assistant's desk, clutching a tote bag like a shield. I need to see Evelyn Carter. Marjorie was flustered. Miss Carter is in a meeting. Can I take a message? No, I'm not leaving until I see her. I know what she's doing. I stepped forward. Marjorie, it's fine. I'll handle this. Caroline spun around, and for a moment, I saw something in her face. Not just anger, but fear. Real fear, like she was facing down a predator and knew she was outmatched. She didn't know the half of it. My office, I said, gesturing. We can talk privately. I closed the door behind us and took my usual seat. I didn't offer her anything. No coffee, no water, no apology. Caroline stood in the middle of the room, not sitting, just glaring. You kept him late all week. You made him drive you home on Friday. He offered. You let him. He's an adult. I don't control him. Old, you're his boss. You could have said no. You could have called a car. You could have... Her voice broke just for a second before she rallied. You're trying to steal him. I know what this looks like. I leaned back. What does it look like? It looks like you're rich and pretty and you think you can just take whatever you want. Caroline. May I call you Caroline? She flinched at the sound of her name. No. Caroline. I continued anyway. I don't want her boyfriend. I don't want any man who works for me. I've built an empire. You think I'd risk it for someone who can't even handle a 40-hour work week? It's not about. It's about you being afraid. And you should be afraid. Not of me. Of what you already know is true. Her eyes widened. What are you talking about? Have you ever wondered why Vincent didn't tell you who drove him home that night? I asked. Have you ever wondered why he deleted the dashcam footage from his car? Caroline's face went white. Figured that out, did you? I kept my voice calm. He told me you were his niece, by the way, when I saw the sticker on his mirror, Moo Moons. Something like that. He said you were a little girl who put it there. He what? Not the kind of man who's honest with his girlfriend. But maybe you already knew that. The silence lasted a long time. Caroline's hands were shaking. You're lying. You're trying to make me question him. I'm not trying anything. I'm just telling you what he told me. What happens next is between you and him. She backed away from the desk, hit the chair behind her, and sat down hard. For a moment, she looked like she might cry, but she didn't. She held it together. I don't believe you, she whispered. Okay. I don't believe you. Okay. You're just trying to break us up so you can have him to yourself. If that were true, I said, I'd be a lot more subtle about it, and I wouldn't be telling you the truth. She stared at me, and then, without warning, she stood up and ran out the door. Vincent caught her in the hallway. I watched on the security feed. He grabbed her arm, said something I couldn't hear, and she pulled away. He grabbed her again. She slapped him. This is intense, the system said, suddenly cheerful. This wasn't supposed to happen until chapter 50. You've compressed like 6 months of drama into 2 weeks. Good. Your villainy score is up to 73%. I checked the reader comments the system helpfully provided. I hate her. I hate her so much. How dare she? Why doesn't Caroline just punch her in the face? This is satisfying, but also I want to throw my phone at the wall. Interesting, I said. What's interesting? Nobody's blaming Vincent. Not one comment. He lies to both of us. He deletes evidence. He refuses to communicate with his girlfriend. And I'm the villain. That's the assignment. Convenient for him. The fight in the hallway escalated. I watched Caroline try to walk away. Vincent followed. He grabbed her again. Harder this time. She shouted something, a word I couldn't catch, and then he slapped her. The system went quiet. I stared at the screen. He slapped her, right there, in front of my office, where any employee could have seen. Caroline stumbled back, hand to her face. Her eyes, even through the low-quality camera, were full of shock. She said something. He answered. She shook her head. And then she ran. Vincent didn't chase her. He stood there for a moment, visibly shaking, then turned toward the elevator. Stopped. Turned back toward his office. Stopped again. Finally, he went back to his desk. Went back to work. Because the job was more important than the woman he just hit. That's not in the script. Clearly. He's not supposed to. He's supposed to be a flawed but ultimately redeemable man. That's the point of the story. The heroine fixes him. Yes, exactly. And I'm supposed to be the unredeemable one. Well, yes, that's how it works. I watched Vincent sit at his desk, hands shaking, eyes fixed on his screen, but not seeing it. He didn't call Caroline. He didn't text. He just sat there, the same way he'd sat after their phone call on Friday, waiting for someone else to fix his mess. That's what I don't understand, I said quietly. What? Everyone hates me, but he's the one who hit her. He's the one who lied. He's the one who chose work over her over and over again. And I'm the villain. Because you're supposed to be. The story needs an antagonist. No, I said, still staring at the screen. It needs someone to blame. And it's easier to blame the woman who's successful and cold and competent than the man who can't even be honest with his girlfriend. The system was quiet. I've been doing this for 18 years, I said. Building this company, creating this life, and now some book, some story is telling me I'm the problem, not the man who lies, not the man who hits me. Because I refuse to be pathetic. You're getting philosophical. It's not that deep. It's just a plot. I looked at my reflection in the window. The city beyond. The skyline I'd built piece by piece. The face looking back at me was tired, but determined. Fine, I said. I'll play your game. I'll be the villain. But I'm not going to be the idiot. And I'm not going to chase a man who doesn't deserve the dirt under my shoes. That's actually fine, as long as you cause enough damage. Damage. Right. I opened Vincent's file on my computer. You said the villainy score needs to be high enough, but it's not just about perception, I said. It's about tangible consequences, isn't it? Readers need to feel like I've ruined something. Like I've taken something away. Yes, that's exactly it. Then I know what I need to do. I printed out the termination form. Wait. He's gone as soon as the story wraps. But until then, I'll keep him exactly where I need him. Working. Hoping. Thinking he's got a chance at something he'll never get. I folded the form and slipped it into my drawer. There's one more thing, I said. Caroline. She's going to need somewhere to go after this. Why do you care? She's the heroine. She's a woman who just got hit by the man she loved, and nobody in her life is going to tell her the truth. Not the system. Not the plot. Not the readers who want her to fix him. I pulled up HR's directory. She needs someone to show her another way out. That's not in the script. I don't care about the script anymore. The system didn't speak to me for 3 days. I didn't miss it. Monday morning, I walked into the office and found Vincent already at his desk. He'd been there since 6, according to the building logs. The man hadn't slept more than 4 hours a night since he started, and it showed. Dark circles under his eyes, a tremor in his hands when he typed, coffee cups piling up in his recycling bin like a monument to his misery. I stood in the doorway of his cubicle. He looked up, startled. Ms. Carter. Good morning. Morning, Vincent. Walk with me. He scrambled to his feet, nearly knocking over a stack of papers. I led him down the hall toward the executive wing, past the conference rooms, past the glass walls that looked out onto the city. He followed like a lost dog, trailing a few feet behind me, not quite matching my pace. Your first month is almost done, I said. How are you finding it? It's been intensive. That's the word, intensive. I stopped in front of my office door and turned to face him. I've been watching your work. Vincent, you're thorough. You don't cut corners. You stay late without complaining, that's rare. His face flushed. Thank you, Miss Carter. Call me Evelyn. The flush deepened. Evelyn. You're due for a performance review next week, I said. I've already told HR I want you fast-tracked. There's a senior analyst position opening up in Q4, and I think you'd be a good fit. He stared at me. Senior analyst? That's 2 levels above where I am now. I know. Do you think you can handle it? Yes. Absolutely. Yes. I thought so. I smiled. Warm, professional. The smile I used for clients and board members and anyone who needed to believe I was on their side. You've got a lot of potential, Vincent. I'd hate to see it wasted somewhere else. His throat moved. He was swallowing hard. I won't let you down. I know you won't. I went into my office and closed the door. Through the glass, I watched him stand there for a long moment, staring at the wood like he was trying to memorize it. Then he walked back to his desk, his step lighter than it had been a minute ago. You're giving him hope? The system's voice was back, laced with confusion. That's your strategy? Hope is the most dangerous thing you can give someone, I said, settling into my chair. It makes them compliant. It makes them ignore all the warning signs. It makes them stay. But you're going to fire him eventually. Yes. Then you're just setting him up for a bigger fall. That's the idea. The system went quiet again, that I could feel it processing, running calculations, trying to figure out whether I was still following the script. Technically, I was keeping Vincent close, creating conflict, causing emotional damage. The details didn't matter as long as the outcome stayed on track. But there was something else I hadn't told it. Something it wouldn't approve of. Tuesday afternoon. I got a call from the front desk. Miss Carter, there's a young woman here asking to see you. She says her name is Caroline Bennett. She doesn't have an appointment. Send her up. The system flickered. What are you doing? Having a conversation. You're not supposed to help her. You're supposed to be her enemy. I am her enemy, I said smoothly. I'm just a very effective one. Caroline looked different than she had 2 weeks ago. The sundress was gone. She was wearing jeans and a sweater, something practical, something that said she wasn't trying to impress anyone. Her face was still pale, still puffy around the eyes, but there was a tightness in her jaw that hadn't been there before. She sat across from my desk and didn't speak for a long time. I've been thinking about what you said, she finally said. About Vincent, about the dash cam, about the sticker thing. And at first I thought you were lying, that I convinced myself you were just trying to get under my skin. She picked at the edge of her sleeve. But then I started paying attention. The way he talks to me. The way he deflects. The way she broke off. Go on. The way he told me I was crazy. When I asked him about that night, he said I was being paranoid. And I believed him, that I always believe him. Her voice cracked. Because when we first met, he was so good to me, so careful, like I was something precious. And I thought if I just loved him enough, that version of him would come back. I didn't say anything. I went through his phone, she continued. I know that's wrong, but I couldn't stop, and I found messages to someone named Nina. Nothing explicit. But he was telling her things he never tells me, about work, about his plans, about how he feels. Nina, I repeated, his childhood friend. You know about her? He mentioned her once. I had known, but I'd read his file. I'd read everything about him, his social media, his employment history, his public records. That was the advantage of being the one who held all the data. Caroline's hands were shaking. I don't know what to do. I don't have anywhere to go, and my parents are 2 states away, and I can't afford to move out on my own. And she stopped. Why am I telling you this? You're the one who's trying to take him away from me. I'm not trying to take him away from you, I said. I'm trying to show you what he is. The two aren't the same. She stared at me. Vincent is a man who lies to the people closest to him. I continued. He lies to you, he lies to me, he probably lies to himself, and he'll keep lying as long as it benefits him. He'll stay with you because it's comfortable and leave you the moment something better comes along, and he'll always find a way to make it your fault. Caroline's eyes glistened. You don't know him like I do. No, I don't, but I know what I see. And what I see is a man who hit you and then went back to work like nothing happened. What I see is a man who told his own girlfriend she was mentally ill because it was easier than admitting the truth. It was a small lie. The mentally ill part wasn't something I knew for sure, but I'd seen the pattern before. Men like Vincent always followed the same playbook. He never said I was crazy, she whispered. He just said I was sensitive. Right, sensitive. The code word for you're noticing things I don't want you to notice. Caroline was quiet for a long moment. Then, slowly, she stood up. You're trying to manipulate me, she said. I don't know why. Maybe you really do want him. Maybe you just want to break us up for sport. But it doesn't matter, because I'm not going to let you. I nodded. That's your choice. Don't contact me again. She walked out, but I noticed she didn't slam the door. The system appeared, radiating smugness. That backfired. Did it? She just rejected everything you said. You failed. I leaned back. She didn't reject it. She just wasn't ready to believe it yet. There's a difference. You're delusional. Maybe. Or maybe I know exactly what I'm doing. Thursday. A rainstorm hit Chicago, the kind that turned highways into parking lots and made the city smell like wet concrete and desperation. I stayed late. Most of the office had cleared out by 6, but Vincent was still at his desk, still working, still pretending he had somewhere better to be. I walked past his cubicle. Still here. He looked up, startled. I wanted to finish the quarterly projections. The deadline's Friday. You're a dedicated employee, Vincent. I appreciate that. I paused. I was about to order dinner. Would you like something? The question hit him like a physical blow. His face went through a series of expressions, surprise, confusion, hope, before settling on something that looked almost like gratitude. Yes, that would be great. Thank you. I ordered Thai from the place 2 blocks over. When it arrived, I brought it to his cubicle and set it on his desk. A gesture, nothing more. Thank you, he said again. His voice was hoarse. I know I've said this before, but I'm really grateful for this opportunity, for everything you've given me. You earned it. I don't know if I did. I try hard, but he broke off, rubbing the back of his neck. I'm not used to people believing in me. Believing in you? I echoed. At my last job, I was just a number, another body in a cube. Nobody cared if I stayed or left. But here he looked at me directly, and there was something in his eyes, something desperate. You actually see me. I felt a cold pulse of disgust in my chest, but I kept my face neutral. I see potential, I said, and I invest in potential. He nodded, too quickly, too eagerly. I won't let you down. I promise. I left him with the food and walked back to my office. Through the glass, I could see him staring at the takeout container like it was a gift from a god. You're confusing him, the system said. He thinks you care about him. Good. I don't understand your plan. I know you don't. Friday. Vincent submitted his quarterly projections at 4 p.m., 16 hours ahead of deadline. I didn't read them. I just sent an email to HR confirming his promotion. Senior analyst, Vincent Carter. Effective immediately. The system screamed in my head. What are you doing? You're supposed to make him miserable, not advance his career. I'm making him dependent, I said calmly. There's a difference. He's your enemy. You're supposed to destroy him. I'm going to destroy him. But first, I have to build him up high enough that the fall actually hurts. The system was sputtering, trying to process. This isn't in the original plot. You're deviating too much. I'm deviating from a plot that had me chasing him like a desperate teenager while he used me for my money and then discarded me when I wasn't useful anymore. I'm not doing that. I'm doing something smarter. Smarter how? Instead of being the woman who needs him, I'm going to be the woman he needs. And when I take that away, when I pull the rug out from under him, he'll fall harder than any romance novel could imagine. The system was quiet. It wasn't convinced, but it had no counter-argument. I opened my email and started composing a message to Caroline. Caroline, I know you asked me not to contact you again, but I think you should know that Vincent's getting a promotion. Senior analyst. It's a big step up. He's been working very hard for it. I'm not telling you this to hurt you. I'm telling you because I think you deserve to know what kind of man you're dealing with. He's not leaving his job. He's not coming back to you. He's moving up and he's leaving you behind. You don't have to respond. But if you ever want to talk about anything, my door is open. Evelyn. I sent it and sat back. That was manipulative. The system's tone was almost admiring. You're using his success as a weapon against her. Of course I am. That's what villains do. I thought you cared about her. I stared at the screen. I do care about her. That's why I'm showing her the truth before it's too late. But you're hurting her. Sometimes pain is the only way to wake someone up. 2 hours later, I got a response. I don't want to talk. I don't want your pity, but thank you for telling me. You're still the enemy, but I appreciate the honesty. Caroline. I read the message 3 times. Then I deleted it. The weekend was quiet. No phone calls, no emails, no system screaming in my ear. Just the silence of my apartment and the city lights outside my window, flickering like scattered stars. I spent Saturday reviewing next quarter's projections. Sunday, I went for a run along the lakeshore, watched the sailboats drift on the water, and thought about nothing at all. By Monday morning, I was ready. Vincent arrived early. As always, I saw him at his desk, already typing, already trying to prove he belonged in this new role. He looked better, more rested, more confident. The promotion had done exactly what I'd hoped. It had made him feel safe. I called him into my office at 9. Close the door, I said. He did, and the click of the lock seemed louder than it should have. He sat across from me, hands folded on the desk like a student waiting for a grade. I wanted to talk to you about something, I said. Something personal. His eyes widened slightly. Yes. I've been thinking about our relationship. The professional one, I paused. I've been spending a lot of time with you lately, more than I usually spend with my employees. And I'm starting to wonder if that's a good idea. I don't understand. I like you, Vincent. I think you're talented and driven, and I let the sentence hang. But I'm your boss, and there are boundaries. He stared at me, processing. Are you saying... I'm saying I need to be careful. The company doesn't need gossip. And your relationship with Caroline. We're not, he swallowed. We broke up. I feigned surprise. You broke up? Yes, last week. It was overdue. I'm sorry to hear that. He shook his head. Don't be, IT wasn't working. We wanted different things. She wanted me to be someone I wasn't. He leaned forward. But you see the real me, the person I'm trying to be. And that's rare, Evelyn. The sound of my name in his mouth felt wrong, but I didn't let it show. Vincent, I can't have this conversation with you right now. I need to focus on the business, and you need to focus on your work. I know, he said quickly. I know. I'm not asking for anything. I wanted you to know. That's all. He left, and the door closed behind him. What was that about? The system demanded. Setting the hook. The hook for what? The trap. I looked at the empty chair across from me. He's going to make a move eventually, and when he does, I'll have everything I need. Everything for what? To make sure he never works in the city again. The next week, Vincent stopped calling it overtime. He started calling it our time. I heard it in the way he talked to me. Too familiar, too intimate, and I saw it in the way he looked at me, like I was a prize he was on the verge of winning. And I felt it in the way he pushed, little by little, testing the boundaries I'd drawn. Wednesday, we should get dinner sometime, just as friends. Thursday, I've been thinking about you all day. Friday, do you ever wonder what it would be like if we met somewhere else? Somewhere you weren't my boss. Each time, I deflected. Each time, I didn't say no. Because a man who thinks he has a chance is a man who will keep trying. And a man who keeps trying is a man who eventually makes a mistake. The first crack came on Saturday. I'd come into the office to grab some files I'd forgotten. The building was empty. No security guard at the front desk. No cleaning staff in the halls. Just me and the echo of my own footsteps in the dark. And Vincent. He was sitting in the lobby, hands clasped, waiting. Evelyn. He stood as I approached. I was hoping I'd catch you. I wasn't expecting anyone to be here. I know. I had to see you. His voice was shaking. I've been thinking about this all week. About us. And I can't keep pretending it's nothing. Vincent. I know you're my boss. I know it's complicated. But there's something between us, and you know it too. You can't tell me you don't feel it. He stepped closer. His hand reached for mine. I pulled away. You need to leave, I said. Now. His face crumpled. Evelyn. I'm not going to ask again. He stood there for a long moment, trying to read my expression. Whatever he found there must have convinced him, because he turned and walked to the elevator. When the doors closed, I let out a breath I hadn't realized I'd been holding. That was close, the system said. No, I said. That was exactly what I needed. What? I pulled out my phone and checked the security feed. Every angle of the lobby, every word Vincent had said, every gesture he'd made, all captured, all recorded. I told you I was setting the hook, I said. Now I've got him. The security footage sat on my encrypted drive like a loaded weapon. I watched it 3 times that Sunday afternoon. Vincent's face in the empty lobby, the desperate edge in his voice, the way his hand had reached for mine like he had every right to touch me. On the surface, it was just a man making a clumsy pass at his boss, but I've been in business long enough to know that context changed everything. A boss who'd just promoted him, a boss who'd fed him dinner, a boss who'd let him call her by her first name while his girlfriend was still in the picture. To the outside world, it looked like I'd let him on. And that was exactly what I needed. Monday morning arrived with a text from an unknown number. I need to talk to you. Not at your office. Somewhere else. I stared at the screen for a long moment. The area code was local. The tone was unmistakable. Caroline. I replied, there's a coffee shop on Monroe, corner of Wells.
Noon.
She sent back, fine. The coffee shop was the kind of place I normally avoided. Exposed brick, reclaimed wood tables, baristas with artisanal beards and judgmental stares. I ordered black coffee and sat in the corner, watching the door. Caroline walked in at 12:03. She looked thinner than she had 2 weeks ago. Her hair was pulled back in a messy knot, and she was wearing leggings and an oversized sweatshirt that looked like it belonged to someone else. She spotted me and came over, sliding into the chair across from mine without asking. I didn't think you'd come, I said. I didn't think I would either. She wrapped her hands around her cup. I've been doing a lot of thinking about everything you said, about the way Vincent treated me, about the way I let him. And she was quiet for a moment. When she spoke, her voice was flat, the kind of flat that comes after too many tears and not enough sleep. I found more messages, but on his laptop. He left it open when he went to the bathroom last week. She took a shaky breath. He was talking to someone else, a woman named Nina. They've been talking for months. He told her he was going to break up with me last spring, but he never did. He told her she swallowed. He told her I was holding him back. That I was the reason he couldn't move forward. I see. Did you know about her? Not specifically, I said, but I suspected. Caroline's eyes flashed. What do you mean, you suspected? Men like Vincent always have backup plans, the girlfriend who's stable enough to keep around, and someone else who gives them the emotional validation they're not getting at home. It's not complicated. It's just efficient. She stared at me. You're not surprised. No, I'm not. And that doesn't bother you? Should it? He's not my boyfriend. Caroline made a sound that might have been a laugh or might have been a sob. You're so cold, you know that? You sit there in your perfect clothes with your perfect hair and your perfect job, and you just analyze everyone like they're spreadsheets. I'm not cold, I said. I'm careful. There's a difference. Careful about what? About getting hurt. About investing in people who don't deserve it. About spending years of my life on something that's never going to pay off. She looked at me for a long moment. Then, unexpectedly, she smiled. It was a small smile, tentative, fragile, but it was real. Vincent thinks you're obsessed with him, she said. He actually told me that. After we broke up, he called me and said you were just waiting for the right moment to make a move. He said that's why you promoted him. That's why you gave him all that attention. Did you believe him? I didn't know what to believe. She paused. But I think I'm starting to figure it out. I didn't respond. I just waited. You don't want him, Caroline said slowly, as if she were working through a math problem in her head. You never wanted him. You were using him to prove something to yourself, maybe. Or to someone else. To the world, I said. To anyone who thinks a woman who works this hard must be missing something. Who thinks career success is just a compensation for romantic failure. Caroline blinked. That's a lot. It's the truth. And the truth is, Vincent was never the prize. He was the lesson. And what did you learn? I set down my coffee. That people will believe what they want to believe. That a man can lie to everyone in his life and still be seen as the victim. That a woman who tells the truth is automatically the villain. Caroline was quiet. Then, I used to be so jealous of you. You know that? I thought you had everything I wanted. The money, the power, the control. And Vincent on top of it all. I hated you for it. Did you ever stop to think that maybe I didn't want any of that? No. She shook her head slowly. I was too busy being scared. Too busy trying to hold on to someone who was already halfway out the door. And now, I'm still scared. She looked down at her hands. But I'm not jealous anymore. I just feel stupid. Don't feel stupid, I said. Feel angry. Anger is useful. It gets you moving. Stupidity just keeps you stuck. Caroline stared at me. You're a strange person, Evelyn. I know. The system surfaced as I walked back to the office. You're making friends with the heroine. That's not supposed to happen. She needed someone to tell her the truth. She's your enemy. Your villainy score is still rising. Check it. The system was quiet for a moment. When it spoke again, its voice was grudging. 79%. See? The readers still hate me, even when I'm helping her. I don't understand how that works. Because they want me to be the monster, I said. And I'm giving them one. I'm just not giving them the monster they expect. Wednesday afternoon. Vincent knocked on my office door with a hopeful look and a proposal in his hand. Not a work proposal. I could tell by the way he was holding it, like it was something fragile and precious. I've been working on something, he said. A business plan. For a side venture. I wanted to run it by you. I took the document and flipped through it. It was competent. Not remarkable, but competent. This is well put together, Vincent. Have you been working on this outside of office hours? Yes. No. He laughed nervously. I've been thinking about it for a while. I just wanted your opinion. I appreciate the thought, but I have a policy about employees moonlighting on company time. His face fell. Of course. I should have. I'm not saying no, I interrupted. I'm saying let's talk about it over dinner. My treat. You can walk me through the details. The hope came rushing back. Dinner? Tonight. If you're free. I'm free. Yes. Absolutely. I'll send you the address. The restaurant was Italian, small, dimly lit, the kind of place where people went for romantic dinners and marriage proposals. It was the first time I'd taken him somewhere that wasn't a work setting, and he was practically vibrating with excitement. I let him order wine. I let him tell me about his aspirations, his dreams, his plan to make something of himself. I let him believe this was a date. And when he finally asked me, halfway through the main course, what this meant for us, I gave him my best ambiguous smile. It means I'm interested, Vincent. I've always been interested, but I need to be careful. The company. I know. He reached across the table and took my hand. I understand. We'll take it slow. Whatever you need. I pulled my hand back gently and picked up my wine glass. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. We have time. He nodded, still smiling, still believing. And in that moment, I knew exactly how I was going to destroy him. The next day, I called Caroline. Can you meet me in my office? I have something to show you. She showed up within an hour. I pulled up the security footage from the lobby. Vincent's confession, his attempt to touch me, his desperation made visible. Caroline watched it in silence. He said you came on to him, she finally said. He told me you made the first move. I know. He lied. Again. He always lies, I said. That's what he does. He told you I was obsessed with him. He told you I was chasing him. And now you know the truth. She stared at the frozen image on the screen. What are you going to do with this? Nothing. Yet. Then why show me? Because you deserve to know, I said. Because someone should tell you the truth before you spend another year wondering if it was your fault. Caroline's hands were trembling. It wasn't my fault. No, it wasn't. She looked at me, really looked at me, and something in her expression changed. The fear was still there, but underneath it, something else was taking shape, something harder. Something that looked almost like resolve. I want to help, she said. I blinked. Help with what? Whatever you're planning. She leaned forward. You're going to destroy him, aren't you? That's what this is about. You've been setting him up this entire time. I've been protecting myself, I said carefully. That's all. Wool. You could have fired him weeks ago. You could have let me believe you were the villain and walked away. But you didn't. You kept him close. You kept me close. You're building something. I studied her for a long moment. What makes you think that? Because I know what it looks like when someone's been hurt. And you've been hurt, Evelyn. Not by Vincent, not directly, but by someone like him. Someone who made you feel like you were the problem. She was good. Sharp. I'd underestimated her. I don't need your help, I said. I know, but you're getting it anyway. The system appeared that night, crackling with static. She's getting involved. This isn't in the script. Nothing about this is in the script. I thought you'd figured that out by now. If she gets too involved, the whole story unravels. Her character arc is supposed to be about reconciliation, about finding her way back to Vincent. Her character arc is supposed to be about discovering her own worth. That's the actual story, whether the book recognized it or not. You're not her therapist. You're her antagonist. I'm her catalyst. There's a difference. The system was silent. I could feel it processing, trying to reconcile what was happening with the framework it had been given. IT was a machine after all. Machines didn't understand chaos. They only understood patterns. And I was about to break every pattern they'd ever written. Friday. Vincent's promotion went through officially. I sent the announcement to the whole company. Congratulations, well-deserved, a rising star. Then I called HR and asked them to draft termination papers. Why are you doing this? The system demanded. You just promoted him. You just told everyone he was a success. And now you're firing him. I told you, the higher they climb, the harder they fall. But you're going to look insane. You promoted him and fired him in the same week. People are going to think you have no idea what you're doing. That's the point. The system didn't understand. That was okay. It didn't need to understand. It just needed to be there when everything fell apart. I set the trap on Monday. Vincent came to my office looking pleased with himself. His promotion had made him bold, confident, certain he was on the verge of something great. Evelyn, he said, closing the door behind him. I wanted to thank you again for everything you've done for me. Don't thank me yet. He laughed. What do you mean? I mean, I need you to do something for me. Something personal. His eyes lit up. Anything. I've been working on a project, a private venture, separate from the company. I need someone I can trust to handle the finances. Someone who understands the numbers and won't ask too many questions. He leaned forward. You're talking about off-book accounts. I'm talking about flexibility, I said. Sometimes a company needs money that doesn't leave a trace. For acquisitions. For negotiations. For other things. Vincent didn't hesitate. I can do that. No problem. I pushed a folder across the desk. These are the accounts. You'll have access starting today. I need you to move $50,000 to this account by Friday. He opened the folder and studied the contents. This is a lot of paperwork. I know. That's why I chose you. He looked up at me, his expression somewhere between grateful and reverent. You won't regret this, Evelyn. I promise. He left the office thinking he was on the inside. I waited until he was at his desk, then called Caroline. He took the bait. How do you know? Because he's already logged into the accounts. He's already transferring funds. I pulled up the monitoring software I'd installed on his laptop 2 weeks ago. He didn't check the account histories. He didn't question where the money came from. He just did exactly what I asked. Because he trusts you.